This is an 8-iron, and it's a dead shank.
Wow.
Way right.
Oh, takes a hop off the path.
You gotta be kidding me. Very tough pitch shot right here. You gotta hit it into the hill, one hop up and bite, and it's in.
Kind of like that.
Well, I would like to welcome two-time PGA Tour winner Kevin Na to the Sub 70 podcast. Kevin, I really appreciate you taking the time tonight to be with us.
Thanks, Jason.
So last week you were off. Curious if you're working on anything in your game right now or just kind of recharging the batteries and getting ready for this run that's coming up here. The next few months are definitely going to be busy.
Yeah, I did both. I'm scheduled to play 4 weeks in a row here, so I took 2 weeks off. First week I didn't really do anything, any practice. I just rest. And then the second week I started working out a little bit and working on a few things with my swing at home at Southern Highlands with my coach Drew Steckel. We're working on basically the same thing we've been working on all year, trying to get the shaft a little bit shallower coming down, and that's what we've been working on.
I know this week you're going to be playing out in Dallas at Trinity Forest. You had a good tournament there last year with a T6. How do you like that golf course? I know there was, some interesting back and forth in the media of the type of golf course is a little bit different than what you guys normally play on the PGA Tour. What was sort of your thoughts on the Core Crenshaw design?
Yeah, the first time I showed up to Trinity Forest last year, I took basically a wedge and a putter and walked about 4 or 5 holes, and I immediately liked it. It was definitely different. It's a link-style golf course, a lot of runoffs. You can basically putt it anywhere around the green, and it's not a golf course that you usually see in the United States. It's more of like a Scotland feel. Just think of like St. Andrews, but in Dallas. It's a lot of fun. I think amateurs can really enjoy it because there's not too many forced carries. You can basically run it up from anywhere, and you got to know the course a little bit. Local knowledge comes into play, where to miss it, where to hit it, and use the slope, and it's a lot of fun.
I know last year they didn't have it playing as fast and firm as sometimes they would like it. Have you been out there at all this week when you flew in today to see it? Or have you noticed or heard any rumors that they are really going to try to get the ball bouncing, and which I think, as a golfer, I love when you get that creativity and all those factors kind of come into playing rather than just target golf. You gotta feel the shots, you gotta hit a bunch of different shots, which I'm assuming with your game would fit into your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I haven't been out there yet, but looking at the forecast, we're expecting some thunderstorms and chance of heavy rain Wednesday. So I think the chance of it's going to probably play soft this year. And even though it plays soft, there's plenty. This golf course drains pretty well, and there's plenty of slopes on it where balls will still roll down the hill and to the collection areas. I still think it'll be fun, even though it's playing a little soft.
Let's talk about the season so far. 90th in the FedEx race on standings, but some solid play of late. I know you said you were working with your teacher. Looks like you're kind of trending the right direction, especially going into this run that you're on with the PGA Championship coming up. How would you assess your season so far, and do you feel like you're kind of really coming into form as well with the better play of late?
I feel like I'm just starting to get healthy. At the beginning of the year, end of last year, I broke my finger, jammed my pinky, and fractured at the very tip, just a small fracture, but I couldn't hold on to the club, so I couldn't play Tournament of Champions. I couldn't play basically the first month of the season. When I came back, I felt like I was unprepared because I hadn't practiced because of my injury, and I felt like I wasn't playing poorly, but I was very, very rusty. It took some time for me to get back in the rhythm of things, and I feel like I'm just doing that now, and I've had some good play in the last month or so.
Beth Page Black coming up for the PGA with the change of schedule this year for May. Your thoughts on the golf course? Good fit for your game, and I guess I might be answering my own question, but probably how they have it set up, right? In the sense of if driving accuracy is premium and it's not soft, I could see where that could be a good fit. If it's soft and wide, I'm assuming that's a bomber's got to be a bomber's paradise. Am I reading that the right way?
Well, it's how you look at it. Look, if it's solid. So people say, well, if you're a shorter hitter, you want it dry, you want it playing hard and fast. Yes, but at the same time, bombers are still going to hit it 30, 40, whatever yards by you, and they're coming in with a shorter club to a very difficult and firm green. But if it's playing wet, I know the course is playing long, and the bombers are still the same. They're 30, 40 by you. But it doesn't matter what club you hit to the green, balls are going to hold. So, but looking at the forecast, I know the New York area has been getting a lot of rain, and they haven't had too much warm temperature. From what I've heard, it's very wet out there, and they're having trouble growing grass a little bit. So my thought is that this PGA Championship is going to play soft. And I'm okay with that. Even though it's a long golf course, I can hit hybrid, 5-wood, whatever it takes, and I can be able to hold the green. So I'm trying to look at always the glass half full, and that's my thought going into it.
With the change this season, have you had to really kind of relook at your schedule so you don't get worn out? I mean, you guys have there's a lot of big tournaments from now going into the playoffs. Is there some events that you've even had to kind of leave off the table that you normally would love to play in that you just can't do anymore between the stretch you guys are on?
No, not really. I know every year the schedule changes a little bit, and this year it's actually, better because you have the majors a little bit spread out compared to the past years. Towards the end of the season, you've got the Open Championship, World Championship, PGA Championship, and then the playoff. And there was so much golf going on towards the end. I feel like it's a little bit more spaced out this year. And every year you gotta pick and choose. And I stick to a pretty close schedule of all the tournaments that I usually play. Sometimes it just doesn't work out, and you leave one out here and there. But it's not too much different from the past years for me.
And being a California guy, Pebble Beach, U.S. Open, that's gotta be looking pretty good on the calendar for you.
Yes.
First off, great golf course, and then my question is it pretty crazy how much they can change that golf course from, say, the AT&T to a U.S. Open? It's the same course, and 6 months later, the difference in how much more difficult Pebble will play under those conditions.
Yes. So the first time I played the U.S. Open was 2010. And I've seen footages in the past where, when Tiger won in 2000, how firm it was playing. And I couldn't understand because I always played Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and it's soaking wet, always raining, cold. But when I played the Open in 2010, I was shocked how dry the golf course was, how firm it was. And when we used to throw, shots, 10, 15 feet past the flag during the Pebble Beach Pro-Am and spin it back, during the U.S. Open, you're landing at 10, 15 yards short of the pin. And it makes the golf course totally different. I know they grow up the roughs, they narrow in the fairway. It's a totally different golf course. I mean, where, you're trying to shoot 4 or 5 under than the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and anywhere around even par is a really good score. I'd say it's playing 6 to 7 shots harder than February.
That's crazy for the same golf course, but like I said, that's got to be a golf course that one has to fit your game well. I would have to imagine.
I've had some great finishes at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and I'm really looking forward to the U.S. Open. I'd say if any out of the 4 this year, the U.S. Open would be my best chance.
If you had to pick one to play the rest of your life, Pebble or Cypress, which one would it be?
I've never played Cypress. I've had a chance to play it once, and I turned it down. And Kenny got me the tee time. It was supposed to be. I was staying at a friend's house in San Jose. I was there early for one of at the time we were playing Cordoval. Anyways, but we were trying to get a tee time somewhere, and they said let's go try to get on Cypress Point, and they said Kenny and I could play, but they wouldn't let my friend on, so I said I'm staying at the guy's house, so I said I'll pass. But I haven't played it, but I heard many great things about it, and that's actually one of my things to do one of my things on my bucket list.
You got to play it. I've been fortunate enough to play it once. It's a tough call. I mean, I love Pebble too.
Really?
Gosh, yeah. It's
Cool.
You know, that's some of those stretches on Cypress. You go see it. I mean, obviously it's fantastic.
I'm sure
it's
I
not
will.
rated where it is without it, but it's a man that would be a tough call. If somebody asked me which one would you take, I assumed you had played it before, being a California guy and whatnot. But it's so worth it. It's a fantastic walk. It really is.
I heard. I mean, I don't play too much social golf. I actually play almost zero social golf. But if I was to play, you know, around the golf outside a tour, that would be one of them.
Yeah. Yes, to see that architecture on that piece of property, it's right. I mean, you got to see that one. Your pathway to the pro game was kind of interesting, right? You're born in South Korea, moved to California, and when did that, that fire or that, drive? At what age did that get into you? Where you were at the point as a teenager saying, I'm ready to go pro. How did that sort of all transpire out for you to turn pro at such a young age?
Well, I think before I even played golf, I was competitive in anything I did. I wanted to always, I had a hard work ethics, and I always wanted to beat everybody. I used to swim and I skied, and whatever I did, I was one of those kids that liked working hard at what I did, and I picked up the game at around 8 years old, and I got competitive because I want to beat my brother, and he was 3 years older than me. Obviously, he was bigger. Started the game before I did, and that kind of drove me to practice. And I got good pretty quickly. Started playing some junior golf tournaments, and it was fun playing junior golf tournaments with kids that are same age as you. And you finish in the top three. They give you a little trophy. I really enjoyed it, and in the early teenage years, I was getting pretty good. By 15, 16, I was ranked in the top in the country, playing all over, and flying everywhere, playing national tournaments and winning. So, this is what I wanted to do. This was my dream, to play the PGA Tour. And I felt like at 17, right before I turned 18, a month before my birthday, I felt like I was ready. I felt like 4 years of professional golf somewhere versus 4 years of college golf, I was going to be a better golfer at 4 years of mini tours or developmental tours. So I took that route. In hindsight, I kind of wish I went to college for, a year or less, because I wouldn't have gone for more than a year just to say that I've gone. I know all these young kids have asked me that wanted to turn pro, says, hey, what do you think I should do? I tell them to go to college. If you really don't want to go for one semester. That way you say you've been there, you've done that, you're experiencing the same thing that you are with all your friends at that age, and you got a team to root for in March Madness.
That's an interesting perspective, because I thought just generically the answer would have been, as good as you were as an amateur, that experience to go over and play in Asia and learn how to become a touring professional would outweigh what you're going to gain in college, right? Because you're playing professional golf and you learn how to travel and you learn how to be a pro, right? You're saying you would have done the college thing just essentially as a growing experience. Is that one time in your life when you could just sort of be a college student and play? Is that sort of the angle you're taking with it, I'm guessing?
Yes. And, you can have college buddies. I mean, even though you only want a semester, just if it's like you go talk to someone, hey, where'd you go to college? Oh, I went to UCLA or wherever that might be. That's where I would have probably gone. I think playing overseas was great. I played Asia, I played in Europe before I got on the PGA Tour. I learned a lot. I saw the world, and obviously, if you haven't seen the world to the kids, you don't know how blessed you are living in the U.S. It was a big eye opener for me, and I learned a lot. Just not only golf, but about life. And all those experiences are great, but I could have still done that going to 6 months of college and then go to Asia. So that's just my thought right now. If I'm looking back, but I have no regrets. Things worked out great for me. I've been very blessed to play the game I love and make a good living out of it.
Was the skill set you gained by going and playing overseas and doing that, by the time you, let's say, took that 4 year, from the time you were 18 to 22, Was your game that much better by going through that experience and going over there? And then I know you played in Europe, and then you won over in Asia. Like, was that experience basically invaluable to get you ready for the PGA Tour to just go do it? I mean, looking back, did it kind of help build to the player that you are today?
Yes, I mean, I only played 2 years overseas, and then I got on the PGA Tour when I just turned 20. So it only took me 2 years. But I mean, in Asia, I learned. I mean, flying all over across the country, adapting to different grass, different weather, different culture, food, and then you go over to Europe and learn how to play in the wind, the rain. You learn a lot playing overseas, and the conditions are different than the U.S. A lot of times we play out here, and the weather is a lot nicer than when they play in Europe. The golf course conditions are a lot nicer than when you play in Asia. And you learn how to adapt to where you're at and make the best of it. And I've been everywhere. I've been in Australia, Middle East, Europe, Asia, you name it. I mean, even third world countries. And you learn a lot just going everywhere in the world, and you become stronger too, because you go from flying 15 hours to, if you play the PGA Tour, you're only flying a few hours. So you're already kind of toughened up from all those travel playing overseas.
Yeah, by the time you make to the PGA Tour, it's relatively easy compared to what you've grinded out for a couple of years, right? I mean, I can see where that advantage is at. Winning. So, I mean, you won the Volvo Masters. Was that a co-sanctioned event? Was that European?
No, it was just it was the Asian Tour Tour Championship.
But winning at a pretty darn high level in doing it, that momentum carry into when you went through the stages of Q School to try to get in the PGA Tour. That I'm assuming that's a huge step in your process, that you can get the job done when you need to, and that confidence has to carry over when you're saying, okay, I'm going to try to take the next step to get on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, obviously back in the days when we used to play Q School, I mean, that's the ultimate pressure. You're playing for a job. You're proving yourself to get a job. And I almost think it's tougher than winning, because, I mean, you're talking about your future here. I can remember like it was yesterday. I played all three stages. I got through the first stage pretty easily. I won the first stage and made it through by 18 shots. And then the second stage, I finished third, made it by 8 shots. And then the final stage, I only made it by 2 shots. And I remember coming down the stretch. And now it's 6 rounds. 6 rounds. By the 6th round, you're so beat. You're so tired. I remember putting my pants on in the morning at my belt loop. I mean, I had to pull another, the loop, the belt hole, pull it another hole tighter. And I remember being so nervous coming down the stretch, and I just had to make a few pars. And it's a different ball game. I think everything that I did leading up to the Q School in 2003, end of 2003, playing overseas, because I won the Volvo Master Asia, it got me into Firestone, the World Championship. It got me into Wentworth, basically the European Tour Players Championship. And I played against, the guys in the top of the world at those tournaments. And, I learned a lot just watching, being there, playing well in those tournaments. And it actually gave me confidence that, look, I think I can do this. And it helped me get through Q School.
In the pressure of Q School there's pressure everywhere, winning golf tournaments, playing in majors. Is it still, so you're saying it's a different pressure. It's a different pressure than even going in a major championship or a back nine for a victory.
I don't know about a major championship. I think major championship.
You played in majors, right? So you would have the anticipation of a major and wanting to perform at a high level, and you've done it a bunch of times. I mean, there's supposed to be pressure there too, right? I mean, it's a major.
I think it's a different mindset. Just a different mindset. Because if you don't get through tour school, you have to wait a year. I mean, a full year to try again. And nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, it's I kind of miss the old school old school
I like
Q school.
Yeah,
With the
it was actually fun to watch too. On TV.
It was like great TV, right? And then you would get guys like Beamer out of like nowhere, and then he would win on tour. I understand why they're trying to do it because they want the guys to prove themselves. But I love the stories of like some guy out of nowhere just does it. Yeah. And, that Cinderella story doesn't seem like it's there quite as much with the web. But I understand they want a better quality of play. But that was some great TV. It really was. When you watch those 6 rounds and watch that last round coming down as a viewer, golf fan, it was great drama.
And there's some horror stories too, nightmares.
Yeah.
Guys just falling apart. And there's some Cinderella stories too, but more nightmares. And it's sad.
Anyone getting through that gauntlet, back in the day, you just have to tip your hat to them and say, well bowled, sir, because that's a difficult track. You earned your card going through that one, Kevin, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Las Vegas. So my question is, how did you pick that to be your home base? And I know you're associated with Southern Highlands. What makes that such a great club to play out of?
So I moved to Las Vegas in around 2009, right in that, I don't know the exact year, but it's somewhere around there. My brother was planning to go to grad school at UNLV after he graduated from UCLA. And I said, you know what, why don't I move out there with you? We'll get a place together. And, I'm gone most of the time, so you'll have basically a place to stay and you can help me out looking out for my place, and I'll see what it's like. And I moved out there, and I liked the facilities, practicing out of the CPC courses. And, the fact that, your brother was there when you're home, it was kind of cool. And I liked it. And after he graduated, after 2 years, he left and I stayed. And about 3 years ago, I moved to the golf course community called Southern Highlands. The golf course is a great golf course. I really enjoy playing and practicing out of there. I live inside the gate, so it really makes sense for me. And I really enjoy Las Vegas. It's my adopted home, and we really like it there.
Is there? I know there's a lot of players that play out at TPC there. If you want a competitive game or some guys to play with to stay sharp, is that kind of the meeting place where you can go get a really good quality game of other professionals? And there's got to be a pretty good group there if you really want the action and competitiveness, I would assume.
Oh yeah, I mean, we have plenty of guys. I mean, Ryan Moore lives in Las Vegas. Scott Piercy, Charlie Hoffman just moved back to California. And there's Aaron Wise, and then there's some European, David Lipsky, and then Web.com player. I'm good friends with Alex Kang, and we'll play for money game at Southern Highlands. Some friendly, just to get the competitive juices going. And Lipsky, Alex Kang, and any other tour players that's available, we'll call them up. We'll get a game together and we'll go play. Even Samwin Bay moved out there. I played with him in Southern Highlands too. So I like to invite him out to Southern Highlands, my neighborhood, and also another Web.com player, John Oda. So we get out there. We'll play some team play events and team play game, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, it had to be pretty cool to win in your adopted hometown in Las Vegas at the 2011 Shriners. Thoughts on that week, and to finally achieve that moment of winning on the biggest stage in the world has to be a pretty incredible accomplishment and feeling to get over that finish line and do it.
Oh yeah, there's no feeling like winning. I mean, that's why we do this, right? And it's to win, and to hoist that trophy at the end of the week. It's you feel like you're on top of the world. It took me a while to get my first win. I mean, I had a lot of chances at it, and I finally broke through in 2011. And to do it at hometown in front of your, the hometown crowd, it was even more special. And then it took another long time for me to win another one. But you know what? It's been a great ride that I enjoyed. Looking for that second win, and I got it. And it's going to be another fun ride to chase that third win. And I think it'll come a lot sooner than it did, the second one.
Yeah, we can talk. I had that in my notes a little bit later, but that second win, you could tell it meant a lot to you. Everyone's talked about how emotional you got afterwards, but it's been a long time coming. And, to do it at a really historic golf course, I mean, there's such history there. That second win, I know for you guys on tour, winning more than once, when you validate that second win, It's a different level, and that had to be beyond satisfying, I'm assuming, to you to kind of notch that second one out, kind of get that pressure off that you're a multiple winner on the PGA Tour.
Of course. I mean, I've had so many close calls. I mean, compared to my first one, I was the span I had in between my first one and second one. I've had better play. I mean, better golf. I mean, more top 10 finishes, more second place finishes. I mean, I've made a lot of tour championships, and there was no excuse why I wasn't winning. And everyone says, "Oh, you're going to win," but till you do, it's still a question mark. And I kept, you get to a point where you maybe doubt starts creeping in your mind a little bit. But that Sunday, I felt so good. I was playing great golf. Nobody was going to catch me. I was so far ahead, and it was nice because I was so far ahead to enjoy the last few holes instead of stressing so much coming down the stretch. But that was a special one.
I'm assuming another golf course that fits your eye naturally. I mean, that classic Seth Rayner design, the bunkering. It has to be that. I love Golden Age architecture. That has to be a fantastic track to get out there and play some golf on top of winning. But like I said, just the history of that golf course on top of it, it has to be a really cool way to win your second one.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that golf course is a lot of fun. There's great architect work in there. I mean, I wish more golf courses was like that. But, every time, before I even went there, I really enjoyed going there. It's a great resort, very family friendly. It was one of my spots that I really like going on tour. And it was even nicer, obviously, it's even nicer because I'm a past champion there.
Well, let's talk about the person who helped you win that event last year, the great Kenny Harms. As you know, he was on the podcast last year, had a great conversation with him, and yesterday I was texting the GOAT. That's just what I put him as in my phone. He's just the GOAT. And, yes, he's the GOAT. Yes, he's just the GOAT. It is what it is. And so I was asking, what I should ask you. And the question that Kenny and I came up with is, do you feel extreme pressure knowing you have to perform at the highest level kind of every day when you're with Kenny, knowing you have a living legend on the bag? And then part two, he has such great attributes and, wonderful and amazing things about his personality. And there's so many, we don't have time to list them all, but if there was one or two of these wonderful attributes about Kenny that you like about him the most, what would those be? Those were Kenny's questions.
Yeah, I'm going to need about 30 minutes to think about what I like about him.
Right. Yeah, it just doesn't pop quickly into your head, right?
Since we don't have much time,
no, in all seriousness, what does he bring?
In all seriousness.
Yes.
He doesn't.
I'm joking, of course.
He tells you what you need to hear, not what. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. He doesn't tell you what you need to hear. He'll tell you what's on his mind. He's honest. So if he doesn't like something, he'll tell you he doesn't like something. If I'm doing something wrong, he'll tell me I'm doing something wrong. Now, whether I accept it or take it, that's up to me. But he's a huge supporter, very positive. He'll cheer, root for me, no matter what the situation is. But when I need a little whip and somebody to talk a little sense to me, whether that means he feels like I need to work harder, or I'm doing something wrong, or I was out of line, he's the first one to tell me. And I think because the way he is, that he's caddied for me for 11 years. If he just said what I wanted to hear, I don't think we would have had this relationship for 11 years.
Yeah, it's a long-standing one, right? Yeah, I mean, you guys must make it work, right? Because to have that success and what you guys have accomplished, and to not ever have that breakup in that period of time, it says something about how well you guys work together. I
got to tell you a funny story. So, we ran into Julie Inkster at the U.S. Open 4 years ago, and it was our 7th. We've been together for 7 years. She was doing TV, and she knows Kenny, and she goes, "Hey, Kenny, how are you? How have you been? Blah blah blah." And she goes, "Hey, you and Kevin have been doing great together. How many years have you been together?" And he said, Kenny goes, 7 years. And she looked at me and goes, "How do you do it? That's more than a lot of marriages. How do you do it?" And I looked at her and said, "We're in love." She was dying laughing. She couldn't stop laughing.
I would like to see the
just
look on
kinda
Kenny's
laughed.
face when you said that one, right? Kenny must have been like, oh my God.
But it's funny. It's funny. She doesn't keep her foot. But
He's a good guy, man. Like I said, I loved
Yeah.
having him on the podcast. He's very smart, and he has some really interesting insights into being a professional caddy, right? And it was just it was a really interesting 45 minutes with him. He's seen a lot. Like you can tell he's a pros caddy, right? Like
Yeah.
he's
He does a good job.
really, really good. I know he's really well respected out on the PGA Tour, right? I mean, I know he's kind of one of those top guys, so it's cool you guys have made that work for so long. And I told him I was going to put the sarcastic question about how great he is out there, and he laughed. So you can tell about that tomorrow when you bump into him.
I will.
Let's another good friend of yours, Mr. Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing stuff of late. I know you guys are good friends. You know, the walk-in putt was hilarious, and to see Tiger smiling and having fun with it. What's your sort of take on this resurgence he has had? It looks like from the outside there's just so much more joy in what he is doing. And I know it was all business before, but it just looks like he is really enjoying this ride and the smiles. And as a golf fan, like I always respected how great he was. Like it's undeniable. Tim or Nicholas. But to see him do it with a smile and like the walk-in putt thing, like that just wouldn't have happened in 2005.
No.
I love seeing that. I love seeing that interaction with Tiger, and just sort of what's your take on, you know, what he's accomplished on this new comeback, and do you see the same thing where it looks like there's a lot of joy in what he's doing these days?
So obviously he's the GOAT here, the real GOAT, not Kenny.
Yes.
But I mean, I looked up to Tiger growing up. I mean, he's broken all the records. I think the popularity of golf is where it is because of Tiger. We all thank him for that. And, you know, back when he first came out and he was dominating and there was that charisma and intimidation factor, he never smiled. I mean, you know, he wanted you to be afraid of him, and he didn't want to look like the nice guy. And he dominated. And, you know, he had that aura around him. He still does have the aura, but this is my opinion. I think after all the things he's gone through, from injuries to personal life issues to playing some awful golf, and he basically had the yips too with chipping. And after all this has happened, and everybody thought he wasn't going to be able to win another tournament, and he was never going to compete at any decent level. And then he started coming back, playing halfway decent. I think he starts appreciating just the fact that he's out there and playing halfway decent again. You know what I mean? He's happy to be playing golf. He's happy. He's appreciating that. Like I'm able to get out of bed. My back's not killing me. People still love me, and for him to play at the level that he wants to, I think he enjoys it, and I think you can see that he's happier, and he's very thankful to be out there and playing. And obviously, and after he won this huge monkey off his back, and everyone from proving everybody that doubted him. And I think it was a big relief for him too. And I think that's what we're seeing. And he's a lot more personable, signs a lot more autographs, he smiles a lot more. He'll even joke while you're playing with him in competition. And this is a new Tiger, and I think everybody loves him. And not only that, when everybody loves him, the new Tiger, and he won the Masters. I mean, this is incredible.
Yeah, he can kind of be the intimidating guy on the back nine on Sunday when he needs to be, yet it's not 24/7, right? Like that's why I think the balance is kind of nice as a golf fan to see. Like it doesn't look like that all the time. I had an interesting story. I caddied on a Monday Pro-Am in his group. It had to be like 1994 or 95 at the Western Open after he got in the tournament from winning the USAM, right?
Okay.
And it's the Monday Pro-Am, right? So and they call my name and I get the Woods group. I'm like a golf nut that age, so I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever, right? And he grinded out that Monday Pro-Am round. Like it was the last round of a Monday Pro-Am round. This is the bad Pro-Am. And I would also do the Wednesday Pro-Am because I was in college and it was a good tip. But I looked at this guy and I thought to myself, he is going to just kick the crap out of people. I mean, he was grinding this thing out.
Who grinds on a Monday Pro-Am?
Tiger Woods at 18 years old did. I'm telling you, it was all business for 18 holes.
Wow.
And I was like, I love it. Like, this guy is like Ben Hogan reincarnated of the seriousness. Like, you could just tell he was not out there that week because he was just happy to be in a PGA Tour event. He was out there to win. And Monday was a day of work. And it was like, wow. I'd caddied enough of them where, you know, most guys don't do that on a Monday, Pro-Am. Mm-hmm. He did. So, man, you could just see that intensity when he was that age, you know, and the burning desire. It was really cool to see it up close. But, you know, as that time has worn on, I also like seeing him smile a little bit more too. So I think he's got a great balance going now. But I'll tell you what, man, I've never seen somebody grind so hard in a Monday Pro-Am in my entire life.
That's
but
awesome.
He was all business, that's for sure. I was going to bring this up, and we're not going to rehash the yip thing that you had because you worked through it and you got past it, and you're playing great golf. The reason I want to bring it up is I think what can amateur golfers learn from it? Because we've all been there where you don't feel comfortable, and golf is hard, and you know, and you had to do it at a professional level and get over it and make it work, and you have. So going through something like that, you have to have a lot of positive out of a negative situation, and you've gotten past it. So what can we kind of take from, or what do amateur golfers need to kind of potentially learn when we're not feeling comfortable about our game? Or is there a tip we can kind of use from what, you know, you grinded through and manned up and got past?
It's just learning how to release tension in your body when you're, you know, about over the ball or going through your pre-shot routine. Number one, you need to have a pre-shot routine. A lot of amateurs don't, and that can also lead into, I don't want to even use the word, but I would say trouble. And just breathing. I think breathing is really important. People don't breathe right. And I think that's one of the big things that helped me was when I learned how to breathe. When I felt like when I was going through the troubles I've had, and breathing really helped me release some of the anxiety and tension out of my body when I was playing golf.
Yeah, so it's literally just getting comfortable, and then once that kind of transpires, then you can let your talent come out and just play the golf shot. And I agree with that. Right? It probably doesn't matter if you're a 5 handicap, 15, or a professional. Being relaxed, let the body feel soft, and then make your motion.
But I also feel that when you go through what I've gone through or what all the amateurs go through, there's always one technical thing that it's not just, it doesn't come for no reason. Yes, you need to loosen up, you need to get the tension out, but you need to work on some of the techniques that helps you get out of that problem too. Because there's something triggering your subconscious, because whatever you're doing is not right, and your subconscious knows that, and it's trying to stop you, or you're afraid because you know that subconsciously your swing, your technique is wrong. So you have to work on with your coach the right technique also.
So it's a combination of mechanics and from a psychological standpoint of relaxing and letting it happen. And like I said, maybe for the amateur golfers, trying to maybe have a one-way miss, right? Where, hey, under pressure, you can still get a ball with a little baby squeeze fade out there, and if you have to get a ball in the fairway, work on technique to maybe have a shot that you know you can play, something to that extent. Whether, you know, it's a takeaway or the downs, whatever it is, you know, you work on the coach and listen to what they got to say. At the same time, when you're working on stuff, people start, you know, get tighten up, and they start tensing up and get quick when they're trying to do something, you know, fix something. So breathe, because when you breathe, you move smoother and slower. And you know, obviously, you know, every pro will say, "Oh, you got quick on that one." I know it's you know, you hear it too often, but it's really important to breathe and swing within yourself and with your tempo at the same time, and also the same pre-shot routine. I just got a few more here, then we'll get you out of here. They're kind of quick hitters. Your move to Callaway for this season, how did that come about? How long did the process take for you to get comfortable with all the equipment? And then what equipment is in the bag this year, and what benefits are you seeing?
So last year in springtime, I came up on a Callaway Epic driver, and I hit it, and I fell in love with it. And ever since then, I've been playing this the Callaway Epic driver, and I think it's really hot. I've never hit a driver that as hot as this one, and I was playing a Callaway driver when they weren't even paying me. And then I went to Callaway this year, and I've been playing still the same driver, and I'm playing the Flash 3 wood. The Flash 3 wood is going so far that I had to adjust my 5 wood so I can fill in the gap. Sometimes I don't play with a 5 wood. I play with just a hybrid, and I just play with a big gap. But this 3 wood is so hot, and I got the Apex Pro irons that was a super easy transition for me to put it in. And what was surprising for me was the wedges. I put a 50-degree and a 54-degree, the Mac Daddy, and the way it goes through the turf. I've always been a little diggy and with my wedges and spin it too much. But this wide, I started playing this wide sole, and the way it goes through the turf, it never gets too diggy. It slides through the turf nicely, and it's more forgiving because of the way the sole goes through the ground. Even though I don't catch it perfect, the distance control is much better. So I've been very happy with my anywhere from like this 90 to 120 yard shots. I've been feeling really confident.
Best golf shot you ever hit under pressure?
Oh, you can't put it to me like that. It's just one.
There could be a couple, or is there a few that just stand out that, that was a good shot when you needed it?
Yeah, when I won my first tournament, I was under the tree on the right on the 18th hole, and I hit a 5-iron to a blind green. I couldn't even see it. It's a blind shot over a tree, and I hit it on the green about 40 feet. And for me to hit and there's hazard left, and for me to hit the green out of the trees under pressure, that was, I think one of my best shots.
When you're away from the tour, do you have any other hobbies that you really like to do just to sort of unwind and relax?
Yeah, I go through phases, but sometimes I like to cook. I like to cook for my family. I was in a phase where I used to go fishing on the golf course, so I left them number 8. I went through that phase a little bit. But right now, I think with our daughter Sophia, she's almost 3 now. I think just I've been busy playing with her, and she's starting to talk more, so it's a lot of fun to talk to her. You just never know what she's going to say, and it's been a lot of fun hanging out with her.
Well, you kind of answered my last one here already on the Cypress question, but so let's eliminate that one. So are there 2 or 3 golf courses that you have not played yet that are on the list that you would just absolutely love to get out there and play if you had the opportunity and time to do it?
There's actually 2, exactly 2. One is Cypress Point, what we talked about, and the other one is Pine Valley.
I've heard that's so good.
I heard. So the guy who caddied for me in the par 3 contest, Masters par 3 contest, just became a member there, so I got to weigh in.
You got an in. You got an in.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for the time this evening. Best of luck at the Byron Nelson in Dallas, and best of luck into this. Majors coming up in a busy summer. But I really enjoyed the conversation. Say hi to Kenny for me tomorrow.
I will. Thanks, Jason. I enjoyed it.